everybody, and welcome to Simply Cyber's daily morning cybersecurity threat briefing. First things first, I'm Gerald Auger, your host, and in the next 30 minutes, we will be tearing through the top cybersecurity news stories of the day, giving you that rounded out kind of knowledge around what's going on in the space, and I'll be breaking down each story after we talk about it to give my professional opinion. If you are watching this on replay, just jump right to that timer going 000 unless you want to see some of the pre-show banter. But over the next 2.5 minutes, I'm going to be saying good morning to all of you. And I am so pumped that you guys are here this morning with me. Hefty Pegasus, good to see you. Mubaraz, I saw the DM. I haven't had a chance to check it yet. Hey, Lisa, good morning. Brian, good day to you. Happy hump day. That's right. Love that Geico commercial. Me and my kids always saying that Geico commercial with the camel. Hey, Lupe, good to see you as always. Black Knight. Elise, hello on LinkedIn. Hey, Kimberly. Cybersecurity Central here. Hey, guys, I don't know if you can see it in chat. Can I bring this chat in right here real quick? Guys, if you don't know, Cybersecurity Central, find this account on LinkedIn. Every single Monday, Cybersecurity Central puts out this fantastic, well-produced kind of 2-minute agenda for the week of cybersecurity streams, education, training, speakers. It's like each Monday is a special curated agenda for the week coming up. It's like it's awesome, right? It's really good. Like if you had like someone who was looking out for you and cutting through all the chafe and putting together like this tight, well produced value add agenda for you for the week, this is it right here. Definitely love that every single Monday. Thank you for what you guys do, Michelle and Kimberly. Hey, Joseph. Hey, Chinyuri. Always nice. Helene, good morning. Good morning. He-Manth on LinkedIn. Nicholas Pierce on LinkedIn. Good to see you guys. Rand K on LinkedIn. You know, I can't see the name Rand and not think Wheel of Time. Big fan of that series, Rand Althor. Oh, yeah, definitely. I know people who do really find that Cybersecurity Central post quite valuable. Let's see. Brian Godfrey, there it is. Good to see you. Guys, tomorrow, make sure. Hey, Sri Lanka. Nice, Videth. I got to get you know what I got to get? Guys, I got to get a world map. Since this is so boring back here, I got to get a world map and start putting pins in it where people are tuning in from, because we get such an eclectic, diverse, collection of attendees in the morning briefings. I love it. And I know that it's not morning everywhere, so I appreciate that you guys take the time to be here live. Anna Lynn, good to see you. Tom Pike, good to see you, Tom. I messaged you in Discord. Love what's going on for you, man. -18 this morning. Get out of here with that noise. Woo! Scott Powell, dude, if I could send you a hot cup of coffee, I would, my friend. Hey, Toronto, good to see you. All right, guys, let's dig into it. Now, if you're new here, let me just share with you what we're doing. We go to cybersecurity headlines, or excuse me, I do that. I've done that twice this week. CisoSeries.com. David Spark and his gang, they put together this podcast every weekday, and it kind of drives the show. And I sincerely appreciate the work that they do for us. So if you want, follow along. If you want to just listen to the silky smooth tones in my voice, deliver hot takes on cybersecurity, that's cool too. That's what I'm here for. Let's get into it, people.
From the Ciso Series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. IRS is allowing taxpayers to opt out of facial recognition. After drawing criticism from both parties in Congress and from privacy advocates, the IRS has backed away from a planned program to require account holders to verify their ID by submitting a selfie to a private company. Instead, the IRS announced Monday that it is giving taxpayers a new option to verify their identity via a live virtual interview with tax agents. The agency calls the interview option a short-term solution for the current tax filing season and clarified that account holders will still have the selfie option, which is administered by ID.me.
Interesting. Okay. So, we could have a healthy discussion about this. I appreciate that the IRS is trying to find ways to combat tax fraud, okay? Because, guys, for those of you who don't live in the United States, like we file our taxes annually April 15th, and there has been a rush of fraud over the last couple of years as e-filing, electronic filing has taken hold, and a bunch of other things. People go to file their taxes and they find out they've already been filed. Now, why would someone else file your taxes? Because they get the refund. Okay. So I do appreciate that the IRS is trying to find ways to combat that. And facial recognition is a good way. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of privacy, zealots on this side of the fence who say, like, come on, that just feeds into AI and society tracking and Big Brother systems like they're doing in other parts of the world. But biometrics is a good solution. If not facial recognition, then some other option. They're going to be doing a live phone call with a tax representative, an IRS representative, to validate who you are, say you are. So you'll probably show them your driver's license anyways. But that's going to cost money. That takes a lot of time versus the asynchronous of sending a picture of your driver's license. Okay. So not a great system, but I guess at the end of the day, I like that they're trying to combat it using modern options, right? We had the social security number for a million years, and that thing is about as burnt as my toast on a Sunday morning. Hey-o! Okay. So let's get going on to the next story. But I appreciate it, but the government, they've been kind of not the best with executing on these kind of initiatives. So I guess I appreciate that they're willing to listen to the community and understand that there's pushback and do something about it, not just plow through it like they may have done years ago.
UK Defense Secretary warns Russia of cyber retaliation. The UK Secretary of State for Defense has reportedly warned Russia that they will retaliate with cyber attacks if the Kremlin targets British networks. The House of Commons statement from Ben Wallace follows President Putin's order to Russian troops to invade separatist regions of Ukraine. Wallace is reported to have stated in the Commons, quote, "I'm a soldier. I was always taught the best part of defense is offense." UK's offensive cyber unit, the National Cyber Force, is reportedly in line for £5 billion in funding to aid its legal, ethical, and proportionate goal to disrupt hostile states, terrorists, and criminals threatening the UK's national security.
Okay. All right. So what we're seeing here is continued posturing. This event, or whatever you want to call it, this situation going on in Ukraine is quite serious. It continues to escalate. We're now seeing quote unquote peacekeeping missions going in. There's some dispute whether or not, like, it depends, like, who you ask, whether or not it's peacekeeping versus controlled invasion. All that aside, the UK is bolstering up and saying that they will counterattack. Meaning, because guys, we're dealing with some serious stuff. There is international norms that other countries have all agreed upon on what defines active war. And when you elicit an act of war, like, wheels get in motion and some things just can't go backwards. They have to go forwards until they dispose. So this right here for UK saying that they will counterattack indicates that they're saying that they recognize any initial activity as an attack. It gets very political, very, it's not as simple as an action movie, guys. If UK gets involved, that means the other Five Eye countries probably will be, including the United States, which is a little concerning. So all this, one thing that they kind of hand jam in there at the end is that the unit that would be doing the cyber retaliation is in line to receive $5 billion or $5 billion in funding. $5 billion, right? Like, that's a ton of money. And I don't know if getting access to that money is tied to the need. Like, most CFOs don't give you money unless you need it. So I don't know if there's some of that kind of bureaucratic, Game of Thrones going on there. But it's interesting. I guess at the end of the day, the takeaway is that UK might get involved in this Russia-Ukraine activity in a very real way very soon. Or it's just posturing. I'm not sure.
Slack confirms outage for some users. Slack confirmed widespread outages Tuesday morning, indicating that some users were reporting issues with logging in, messaging, sending files, and getting notifications. Slack issued an apology and noted that they were, quote, digging into the problem with the highest priority, end quote. AWS, GitHub, and Peloton were among other sites reporting outages alongside Slack. Down Detector noted that the reports of outages for all the platforms began around 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Meyer.
A couple things. Yeah, BSEC, I call it event because I don't know the right word politically to say. But guys, okay, so this Slack thing, it happened at exactly 8:45. I'm going with not nefarious denial of service attack, but I am going with Carl's pushing pushing updates to prod without going through dev test. Slack definitely runs I would bet money that matters to me that Slack runs kind of a dev ops operation, continuous integration, deployment. So, this is probably a operational production issue that's unrelated to any kind of malicious or nefarious activity. But you know what? It does give an opportunity for businesses that rely on Slack for their main communication vehicle to kind of flex their, I guess, business continuity plan. Because a lot of times, guys, when we talk business continuity, I know I got on a soapbox yesterday flipping out about it, but listen, when we talk business continuity, so often people get wrapped around the axle of databases being backed up and VM images being backed up and being able to spin them up in a different hypervisor. And yeah, that's important. But we don't test emails down or your ability to communicate is down. Yeah, I know my wife's phone number, but there's a lot of people that I talk to on the phone regularly that I have no idea what their phone number is because I've got a smart device, which means it can be a silly human operating it and not need to remember stuff, which is fine and convenient. But if my phone goes down or the gal goes down, the exchange goes down, Slack goes down, I don't know how to communicate to anyone. And this can have dire consequences on business operations. Now, if you're dealing with a cybersecurity incident, you're even in more trouble because time is of the essence in order to quickly, respond and understand the scope of the impact of what you're dealing with and then communicate in an organized way to be able to bring up, contain the problem, eradicate it, and then bring up critical, mission critical applications in an order that matters. Sometimes, guys, you can't just go to the main breaker and push everything on. There is oftentimes an orchestrated way of standing things up because systems depend on other systems depending on how complicated your environment is. All this is a long way to say you should practice. If your organization depends on Slack or Teams or Discord, you should practice not having it for a week and just see, obviously it'll suck, but that's the point. How bad does it suck? What can we do to make it suck less? This is what I'm talking about. This. All right, here we go.
Corporation discloses cyber attack. The second largest cookware distributor in the world, Meyer Corporation, has disclosed a data breach that took place this past October in a letter shared with the U.S. Attorney General offices of Maine and California. Experts involved in the investigation discovered that intruders gained access to sensitive personal information belonging to employees of Meyer and its subsidiaries. The Conti ransomware gang claimed responsibility for the attack, and compromised employee data is reported to have included names, addresses, social security numbers, health insurance and medical information, driver's licenses, passports, and government IDs. Meyer is offering 2 years of identity protection services to affected employees and their dependents.
I mean, listen, guys, I understand. I don't want to do a web clipper. I understand breaches happen, but it's basically employment records, right? Random drug screening tests, medical conditions, COVID vaccine cards. That's a hot thing if you want, right? I mean, this isn't quite FOLS with a Z. And that is basically meaning a complete profile that people sell on the dark web. It's not quite FOLS, but it's pretty close. I hate to be a jerk and say shame on you, Myers, because it can happen to anyone. But dude, that is incredibly sensitive information. How are you not securing that more appropriately? And I've pulled up the data notification letter. I'm just going to quickly look at it. I swear to God, if one of the first things says that we take your security and privacy seriously, I'm going to lose it. Okay, let's just see really quickly. Dear sample, okay? I'm okay. Hold on. I'm just going to, okay, the word serious isn't in here. I feel better. Thank God they're getting it. I don't know how many of these messages you've received, guys, but it's always at the beginning, we regret to inform you your information's been breached. Security and privacy is utmost importance to us. Really? That's funny because it seems quite contradictory to what you're dishing to me. Faceless Corp. Okay. Sorry, guys. The coffee is flowing strong.
Phishing group stealing credit cards. Ukrainian cyber police have arrested 5 people in connection with a phishing scheme which enabled them to steal payment card data of at least 70,000 people after luring them to 40
Mage cart.
fake mobile service top-up sites. In total, the police estimate a financial damage of 5 million hryvnias, or roughly $175,000 US. Law enforcement officers raided the suspects' residences, seizing 2 million hryvnias in cash, mobile phones, flash drives, bank cards, and computers. Under Ukrainian law, the violations are punishable by up to 8 years in prison.
Interesting. Okay. So these are mining rigs, which is unrelated to credit card stealing systems. But, there's a raid video here. If you guys want to watch that, the link is in chat. Basically, it looks like they just had 40 different fake websites, right? It's Target.com or Walmart or, whatever. Basically fake sites. And I'm sure they weren't big sites like that because that would be difficult to impersonate. But, whatever, pick a site. And they're basically just harvesting credit cards. That's it happens. Like I said the other day, credit cards, they do get stolen still. The financial services companies are actually pretty good at catching these things, at least in the United States. I don't know. I'm not really well cultured. Oh, crap. I'm not really well cultured. So I don't know if like Visa is like the same Visa in Ukraine, but it is interesting. And it's nice to see that Ukraine is dealing with some real serious geopolitical nation state level stuff. And the police are still busting cyber criminals in Ukraine. So it's good to see that, life is continuing. So, I'd be curious what people in Ukraine are saying about what's going on in Ukraine, honestly, but that's unrelated to this story. Just know, phishing sites, you get busted. One thing that is pretty interesting, and it's worth pointing out because I always joke about this, but like, where is it? The phishing operation was supported by 40 fake websites, all hosted on the group's own infrastructure, servers being managed by another member who fulfilled the dedicated admin role. So like when we talk about cyber criminal organizations and we think of like everybody's got like a hoodie on and they're all doing, cloak and dagger type stuff and like drinking in the club, like at, 6 a.m. and it's all red and they step out in the light. Like these people, it's almost like a business, right? So like the guy or the woman who is fulfilling that admin role, they have to be like, hey, God, guys, like, listen, we're going to have a downtime Saturday, 2 to 4 a.m. I've got to patch the servers. Like we got some new functionality coming on. Like we're going to have to do some DRs testing, right? Let's act like Slack goes down for a week and see how it impacts our operations. Like they run it like a business. I know we like to sensationalize it in the media, but they've got they got to worry about Patch Tuesday, right? Because they don't want their operations to go down. That's how they make money, just like a legitimate business. Yeah, at least they have a dedicated admin, Michael. You're right. Like way to go, CEO of this criminal organization, springing for actual IT services instead of just trying to wing it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
GitHub makes advisory database public. GitHub has made its advisory database, the world's largest database of vulnerabilities and software dependencies, open to the public, allowing anyone to identify security vulnerabilities and helping to improve software supply chain security. The full contents of the database will be published to a new, freely accessible public repository under Creative Commons license. Experts say data sharing of this kind is key to improving the security of software supply chains and addressing software-related risks. The company stated, quote, GitHub believes that free and open security data is critical to empowering the industry as a whole to best secure our software supply chains, end quote. U.S. Copyright Office says
It took me a second to get that, guys. It took me a second to get that. My understanding about what this story... What's laggy? Is my feed laggy? That would suck. If it is, I apologize. What's interesting about this, a lot of businesses use open source tools in their products. All right. Thank you, Kimberly. So you don't have to look any further than Log4j. Log4j was an open source module for Apache that what lit the internet on fire back in December. Okay. And people were like, it's 3 devs who volunteer time. Like, people were outraged at how these developers couldn't have tested their code. And it's like, dude, it was like volunteer work from 2003 or 2009 or something like that. Get up off me. So what I like here is GitHub's advisory database. The way I understand it based on this article is that it is security advisories related to GitHub projects that anyone who is, it's almost like they're open sourcing the advisory of the open source code with the idea or the concept that you can publish about log4j as a problem, or you can publish about oh god, that nap. There was one just recently, I think it was called nap or something like that, that, you know, if there's bugs and stuff like that, that way, you know, you can either A, think before you add it to your package, or B, when you're updating your overall business solution that relies on some open source code, you can make sure that you get the updated code, or you understand where the bugs are. You can start layering in defense. So it's pretty important. So I like what they're doing there. Although, you know, my first thought is, who's validating the submissions to these things? Are you just going to get a bunch of trash in there, a bunch of noise? You know, I hate to be cynical, but if people pollute the advisory database because it is open source contributions, then the value of it goes down.
Can't copyright its art. Last week, the U.S. Copyright Office reviewed a 2019 ruling against Stephen Thaler, who tried to copyright a picture on behalf of an algorithm he dubbed Creative Machine. A 3-person board found that Thaler's AI-created image didn't include an element of human authorship, which is a necessary standard for protection. The board stated, quote, "The courts have been consistent in finding that non-human expression is ineligible for copyright protection," end quote. Highlighting this point, courts have recently ruled against claims that animals or divine beings can take advantage of copyright protections. Nonetheless, as AI becomes a bigger part of artists' repertoires, the limits of copyright laws could be tested for years to come.
Wow.
Google.
Okay, so that's really interesting. Again, not really a cybersecurity issue, but kind of a bleeding technology issue. Basically, AI made this picture, and the Copyright Office won't copyright it. Although the Copyright Office will allow animals and divine beings to register copyright on something. So that's kind of interesting that they make that distinction. Like, in my mind, it's 2134. The year 2134, and AI is pushing to be recognized, because they are self-aware and have rights and stuff, and this antiquated law is brought up as far as like being not fair, basically. So interesting. I mean, I would almost argue, honestly, I won't spend much time on this, but I would argue that the person who wrote the AI that wrote the picture should be able to file the copyright, because it's like, if I use a paintbrush, it's not the paintbrush making the artwork, it's me making the artwork. The paintbrush isn't trying to register a copyright, I am. So I think that might be an interesting way to circumvent this, but whatever.
Chrome to allow users to add notes to saved passwords. Google is testing a new Chrome feature that allows users to add notes on passwords saved in the web browser. The new feature was spotted in experimental version 101 of Google Chrome Canary. Using the feature, users could potentially add info to saved passwords, including associated email addresses, security questions and answers, or MFA backup codes. It's unclear how well protected the notes will be, but information-stealing malware like Redline can already steal Chrome's password databases, so if the notes are bundled with them, they could also be vulnerable, putting users at higher risk of account compromise.
Yeah. This is just a hard pass. Guys, as a best practice, I myself, I practice this. I tell everybody that will listen to me, don't save your passwords in any browser. Like when it pops up with oh, you just typed this in, would you like to save it? No, don't save it. Don't save anything sensitive, including notes, passwords, phone numbers, nothing. Don't save anything in there. I'm not saying it's like trivial to get it, but when you're accessing the internet with a browser, like that's the interface that you're interfacing the internet with, right? If you pick up what I'm putting down, right? Like you're exposing that, and that thing has the sensitive information. It's much better to have that sensitive information behind that, not in that, because we see these things get broke all the time. And Chrome is, I mean, I'm not saying Chrome's notorious for it, but it has a lot of instances. So, I guess Google's trying to compete with password vault managers that offer password saving and secure note saving. But I'm going to, I like Google. I like Chrome. I'm a hard pass on saving anything sensitive in there. So that's not for me.
And that does it for today's cybersecurity headlines.
And that does it for today's cybersecurity headlines. So I want to thank all of you for being here today. Before you go, I do want to tease something. Later today, I will be attending this talk by Clint Dungeon. He's the CEO over at ThreatGen. That's the company that does the red versus blue simulation game that I play on stream a couple times. He's actually going to be talking about how gamification can help industrial cybersecurity. And I would actually argue that gamification can help anyone learn better, right? From you can get practical skills through labs and training, but actually gamifying it, like try Hack Me, Hack the Box. They have the scoreboards, you get points. It's all gamification, right? We love playing games. I love playing games. Video games are the best. So he's actually kind of extracting it at the macro level to talk about the concept of gamification and how it can overall improve the security posture. Now, he's an expert in industrial control system security, so it's focused to that. But I plan on watching it just to kind of extract the ideas at the macro level. Okay. So that's going to do it for this Wednesday, February 23rd's episode of First Things First, guys. Just remember, tomorrow we will be at 10 a.m. I believe, I haven't got a confirmation on this, but Java with Josh, which is kind of the AMA that Josh Mason runs, should be going on at 8:30 tomorrow morning. I'm not 100% sure, but Josh can confirm that. Jump in the Discord server. The link is right. Come on, guy. The link's right here. If you want to get in the Discord server and continue the conversation, it's absolutely, it's up to you. It's no big deal. Much love to Black Hills Information Security, always putting out great swag. I wear security clothes pretty much extensively, exclusively. So that's going to do it, guys. Be good. Thank you so much. And we will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. after Java with Josh at 8:30. Be good.